Welcome to New York Got Game.
All right, welcome back to another edition of New York Got Game. It's been a few weeks that I've been away from talking about New York hoops after the Knicks were unfortunately bounced out of the playoffs. But we're back. And now the Liberty. They're at the center of the New York basketball universe. We are 13 games into the 2024 season for the Liberty, and through 13 games, they're off to a pretty good start. So this week, it's going to be an episode where we evaluate the Liberty's start to the season. So let's get right to it. Okay, so it feels like the WNBA season is flying by. The Liberty, they now play 13 of their 40 games this season, and the team is still looking like a contender to capture the first WNBA championship in franchise history. Joining me this week to talk about the Liberty is a sports writer and women's basketball analyst, the one and only GiGi Speer. GiGi, what's up? How you doing?
I am doing great. I'm so happy to be here, Dexter. Thank you for having me.
It's not like you haven't sat in this seat before, but it's the first time for New York Got Game. So I'm thrilled to have you back here. Glad. Have you been enjoying the Liberty season thus far?
It's been so exciting, and isn't it so cool because New York really does have so much game. You already saw it. The NBA season, sorry if it's a tough subject still, but they had a great run, your boys. But now it's the Liberty's time to shine.
Yes.
And they want to bring a championship to New York City. Yep. And that's just showing they're so fun to watch. They're so fun.
Plus, I like what you did there. Isn't it real that New York got game?
They got game.
We got to use that for a promo. That was just too perfect.
Take it. You can have it.
Have it. I appreciate it. All right, GiGi. So let's get into it because Liberty takes center stage. It is all Liberty for this episode. And heading into this season, one of the words that you heard, and I was hearing it a lot from my good friend, as you know, Christina Williams, does a great job covering the sport. You heard the word continuity and building on chemistry from last year, right? When the team had so many new starting pieces. The team right now, they're off to an 11-2 start. The fans are excited. So what have you made about how they've built on last year's chemistry, the differences you've seen in the chemistry from 2023 to this 2024 season? What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, shout out Christina Williams. I love all the work she does, too. It's so great. And for this New York Liberty team, this is a team that came together last year, and they went very far for a team that it was all their first time playing together. They have greats. They have Stewie come in. They have Sloot come in. John Quell come in. And they really had to test themselves and be battle-tested throughout the year. But a heartbreaking Game 4 loss at home against the Aces, they didn't forget about that. And to me, I always want to turn to the players because they're the ones, they're going through it. But Nigel Laney is the heart and soul of the New York Liberty. Everybody will tell you that who's been following this team. She might not score the most points, but she is the heart and soul on defense, on offense. She's the glue. She said, I haven't even watched that game back. So to me, that kind of says everything where it's, okay, we know that hurt. If you're the New York Liberty players, that game hurt. It hurt to lose that. But Sandy Brondello, as a head coach, is so positive. Maybe it's that Australian in her, whatever it is. She says, we forget about that. That was last year. This is this year. And there's just so many moments, Dexter, and you know this as a basketball fan, when you go through adversity, even through life, like you go through hard stuff, you come back, you bounce back. The New York Liberty have done that in such a tremendous way where you could just tell they've gotten closer. It was real life problems that they went through. This is Breanna Stewart's really first time losing at such a grand stage. So even for her to be challenged, she might have not known that she needed that challenge to get hurt in that way. And so I see them this year. They are so much more, there's so much more continuity. You're so right within the team. And there's games that they win that I don't think they would have won last year just because they know each other. They know their playing style, pure basketball playing style and things like that. But getting along as a team and truly enjoying each other's company, it's very evident that they're focused on the New York Liberty, not really focused on any other outside narratives, including letting any narratives from last year seep in.
That's a very great point. And you're right. You would have thought that you can tell that they lost last year in the finals, Game 4. You know it bothered the team, and you and I were at that USA Basketball training camp back in the top of February, and we got to talk to some of the Liberty players, and you could say they were motivated for the season, but it's not weighing on them, sort of in the way that you're saying. You could see that they've taken this and they're using this for the motivation, and they've moved on, but they definitely look focused. It looks like that. I think the fans will agree with that. It looks like that. They look focused right now, 11-2. So for me, GiGi, one of the interesting things when you look at this Liberty squad is They have overwhelmingly strong first quarters. They've started these games off strong, right? But there's a negative point differential when it comes to the second and the third quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, they've also been really strong as well, too, in terms of closing games. Are you concerned at all with their play in the middle quarters? Or do you just look at it like, hey, it's more about how you start and how you finish, and they've done both of those things strong. So is there any concern with you about these middle quarters, or are you kind of fine with how they're starting and finishing?
I'm not the only one concerned. I am not the only one concerned. The players are concerned. Jonquel was even saying she went off for her career high for the Liberty, 29 points today. Afterwards, she was asked about the experience of this team and how that affects them and how they can win those fourth quarters in the way they do. She says it's our experience and it's being battle tested that lets us pick it up and know what we have to do to win it late. But she was laughing and she was like, but we do have to do it earlier. And you saw it yesterday. They win over the Connecticut Sun, beat their undefeated streak. 11 points in that second quarter. That can't happen. Today, against the Washington Mystics, who haven't won a game yet, but still, I don't think their record really points to how good they are as a team. The Liberty come into this game and they're tired, but 20-plus points throughout all fourth quarters. So I think they know that they need to tweak that. And they know if they want to beat the Aces, not only this Saturday, but throughout the rest of the season, including the postseason, they're going to have to put up some crazy offensive numbers. So, yes, I'm concerned about it, but I think obviously they're all professionals. They know that they're aware of it as well. But, yeah, you can't do that. You have to play a full 40 minutes.
Right. And I think the concern for some Liberty fans is, okay, is this going to burn them when they play a really good opponent or an upper echelon opponent? You might be able to get away with that with the Mystics. It didn't hurt them against the Sun, and they closed well. I think the concern is when they play an upper echelon opponent like the Aces, which everybody's going to have that circle on their calendar on the 15th this Saturday. We're going to get to that game in a little bit. Now, this season, right, got the 11-2 start. There have been players who I would say they've shown strong play for New York. And you might have mentioned this player already, so I'm intrigued to your answer to this. Right now, with the team right now through 13 games, 11-2, who do you think is the MVP of this team as we're just a quarter way through the season? Who are you going with?
Oh, this is so hard. I'm going to say the MVP is Jonquel Jones. And before all the people who look at stats go and say, GiGi, you're so wrong, it's not Jonquel. Look, it's Stewie is leading all offensive categories besides assists, which Courtney Vandersloot is leading. Jonquel Jones was hurt at the beginning of last year. She's not hurt. And she's in better shape. She played overseas. She came into this season with a better skill set. And Dexter, you've seen bigs who could catch and shoot the three. Oh, how dangerous are they? And that's what Jonquel is doing right now. She was the reason why they did so well in the postseason last year. She really picked things up in that second half of the season after the Commissioner's Cup. But this season, she's getting to start in that way that she's finished and in a way different way. So that's why I want to say Jonquel, because I don't think it's not just the 29 points she put up today. It's the way that she passes the ball. She has a great touch on the ball. She can find her teammates. She has that continuity that you talk about, that you need with your teammates on the court. And she could score, not just driving to the hoop, even though she could post up, obviously. She could shoot the three confidently. And I think that makes her so dangerous. But you look... This season, this is the beginning part of the season, right? Then we have the end of the Commissioner's Cup, and then there's the Olympic break, and then there's a whole new season after that before the playoffs even start. So I would say for this part right now, Jonquel's impressed me the most, and she's the most valuable player for me in that reason, even if she doesn't lead all offensive categories.
Yeah, because there's a lot of different ways you can look at value, right, in terms of what somebody brings to the team. And I think you so astutely pointed it out there. But Jonquel, I think you make some good points. She has been amazing. She looks more confident in taking the three. And as you know from covering the team, as you do, last year, she was still recovering from injury. She still was getting healthy, and then she was also trying to get acclimated with a new teammate. So she just looks more comfortable, I think, in that way. And so, yeah, I'm fine with that. Jonquel Jones, MVP of the team right now. Okay, we talked about the continuity, but we knew going into the season, the team's bench, their second unit, we knew it was going to take time for that group to develop some chemistry because there were some new faces. How do you assess the performance of the bench when you look at Leonie Fibich, when you look at Kayla Thornton, when you look at Kennedy Burke, the three main players coming off the bench with that second unit? How have you assessed their performance, and what do you think is the height of what that second unit group can do?
Well, I think that the Liberty accomplished their goal. They wanted to add 3-and-D players coming into the season, and they wouldn't say this in these words, but they wanted dogs on defense. That's what they really wanted, and we get that out of Kayla Thornton. If she doesn't rebound in the way that she does, they don't get off to that hot start that you mentioned in that first quarter, especially even today against the Mystics. She is one of the reasons that they win games. Also, Phoebich today, I think 4 for 8 from 3. She is so good, and one of the things that she preaches about her game is energy. Kennedy Burke also could shoot the 3. And so I think the Liberty really did a great job in the offseason. We're not seeing much of rookie and Marquisha too much this season. She's getting minutes like in games like today where the starter's legs are tired and coach wants to see what she could do. But other than that, I think at this point in the season, the New York Liberty bench is doing a great job. I will say, as someone who has covered the Liberty for quite some time now, I would be concerned come time if someone were to get injured in that starting lineup. And that's, I'm not going to put any bad juju out there, but that's what would be my concern. I don't think that those players can necessarily be the people that, although Kayla Thornton started today, I don't think she would be the best option throughout the rest of the season as a starter. But you're right, as a second unit, they're doing exactly what the Liberty needed to change from last year.
The one thing I always say to that, I love that you brought up injuries, right? Because everybody wants to be whole, but sometimes that can't happen. With Courtney Vandersloot being out currently for personal reasons and Kayla Thornton having to step in the starting lineup, Leonie Phoebich getting some more minutes, sometimes that can really help a team early in the season. Later, you never know, somebody gets in foul trouble, somebody gets hurt, GiGi. Now Kayla Thornton's got that experience playing with some of the starters. Leonie Phoebich has got some experience playing more extended backup point guard minutes. So you never know how that stuff plays out. It's interesting. But we want everybody to be healthy. Liberty fans want that too. And I just talked about this. This is where I'll transition. With Courtney Vandersloot out for the personal reasons, we've seen Sabrina Ionescu over the past couple of games play point guard, right? And for those who don't know this about Ionescu's game, she did this in college at Oregon. She played the point, ran to 1. How do you assess her performance running the point, and do you think that's going to help her game at all this season in terms of her decision-making and efficiency? She's been a much more efficient player this season. Do you think that helps her in this role, playing a little bit of point as we get closer to the postseason?
I definitely think it helps. And to echo your point about helping later on in the season, this team is going to have more heart. With Courtney Vandersloot out for personal reasons for an indefinite period of time, having more heart is what this team needs. And also for Sabrina, you're so right. She does need to be making better choices with her passes. She can make crazy behind the back passes. She had a football throw basically to Jonquel to find her down low today, and it was amazing. But there are times where she tries to do a little bit too much, and I think she's having to refine that with the ball in her hands, like you mentioned, a lot more. In college, the first player, man or woman, to break 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 1,000 assists. We know that she could do this as a point guard. And so I think at the professional level, she's still a young player. She's got a quicker release time on that 3 that's already lethal. So if she can improve her decisions and find her players in a more efficient way, it's only going to help her. So yes, I think having Courtney Vandersloot out doesn't just help the whole team for heart. It's going to help Sabrina Ionescu in the long run, improving her game. She always wants to do that.
Yeah, she always wants to, and she's been off to a strong start this season. You got to like how she's playing thus far. Okay, we talked about a lot of good things about the Liberty. Not that I'm about to get really negative here, right? But despite the strong start to the season, I think anything in life, you can say, you can improve. We can always get better, right? So where do you think this Liberty team can improve and grow as a team as we get deeper into the season? What are some areas you'd like to see them get better at as they move forward?
Dexter, I don't think you need to improve. I'll say that. You're good as is.
I'm not
All
perfect.
the listeners at home would say that too. Dexter is perfect. The Liberty, however, there's a lot of ways that they can improve. And I would say this is purely coming from the players and the coaches themselves, because otherwise to everybody watching, especially media, things are obvious. And that's not having as many big runs be taken away from them. Coming out to that hot start in that first quarter, not losing it in the second and third, and then having to figure it out in the fourth quarter. They have to play consistent basketball. And what really impresses me about the Liberty, and if you watch any of their games this season, look at that extra pass. Sandy Brondello preaches good to great. Don't just settle for the good shot. Get the great shot, because then our efficiency is going to go up as a team. So I think if the Liberty could keep on listening to their coach, I never thought I would say that as a former player, but listen to your coach and go from good to great, That's what they're going to need to do, because any opponent they face in the postseason, they have to be able to put up 80-plus points consistently.
And that's what they're trying to trend to. To that point, yes, listen to your coach, listen to people. And nobody's perfect, even though GiGi said it. I'm not perfect, that's for sure. But I strive for excellence. We try to make this an excellent show here, but I'm blessed with a great team to do that. You're right, they want to get better as we get closer to the postseason, especially with the way this season is, with the schedule being as condensed as it is and beginning before the Olympics. I know you're tired because you've been to a lot of games. And then, after the Olympics, what's that going to be going to the postseason? So, yeah, I think more complete games. You talked about it earlier. You said they got to play a complete 40 minutes. That's something, you definitely like to see from them. Excuse me. Now, see, I wasn't perfect. Stumbling on my words there. It's okay. Now, GiGi mentioned this before. Saturday was a big game for the Liberty. They went up against the Connecticut Sun. The Sun, GiGi, they were undefeated. You mentioned at 9-0. Liberty knocked them off. Sabrina Ionescu, after the game, she said that was a statement win. And I thought that was a really telling quote there, because sometimes in sports, we'll hear athletes say, Dex, it was just another game. GiGi, it was another game on the calendar. We checked it off. It is what it is. Liberty said, no. This was a big win. Did you view that win for New York as their best win of the season? And what do you think that win does for them moving forward as we get deeper into the season?
I would say it was their best win of the season. A 9-0 team, you snap that win streak, and you have to defend the title in the East. The Liberty had to do that, and they had just played the Dream a couple days before. We talk about this crazy condensed schedule they have. Courtney Vandersloot out, Sabrina Ionescu picking things up, and they played so well as a team. And I think for that reason, it was a mental battle. They're going on the road. They're playing Connecticut, not on their own home turf. So for the New York Liberty to take that win, of course, it's a statement win, because you look at an undefeated team, and I would look at them and say, that must be the best team in the East. But the Liberty want to prove that's not true. And then what really impressed me, too, is not only did they win against the Connecticut Sun yesterday away, they play back-to-back today, a 3 p.m., a Sunday matinee game against the Mystics, who are 0-12, which, from playing, sometimes the teams who have the worst record are the hardest to play because you overlook them. So they could come into today and be like, this game might not matter that much. We already secured the Commissioner's Cup. But the moment I knew the New York Liberty were completely past that mentality was when Coach Sandy Brondello, before the game even started, said, if we win this game, we host the Commissioner's Cup. So that is what impresses me about the Liberty. They're not settling. They're not settling, we won yesterday, it doesn't matter. No, we're hosting a game at home. It's Ellie the Elephant's birthday. Let's show up for the mascot. No, I'm just kidding. Not that, but they did want to host the Commissioner's Cup, and they secured that. So for that reason, these 2 games back-to-back are huge. But yes, yesterday against the Connecticut Sun was a statement win and their best win of the season.
Best win of the season, I think, no doubt. Shout out to Ellie, the mascot, best mascot in New York sports. It was a birthday. Happy birthday to you, Ellie. Ellie's always great when we get to the Liberty games, for sure. No, I think it was a tremendous win for them. And I think what you just mentioned about what Coach Brondello said, it shows you the focus of this team right now. Last year, yes, they won the Commissioner's Cup, but they had to go play that game in Vegas, right? And I think in that stretch, if I remember correctly, last year, they played in Vegas twice, I think in like 5 days or something. So now they want that game at home here at the Barclays Center. Is going to be rocking. They're going to try to get back-to-back Commissioner's Cup, so we'll see how that all plays out. Now, speaking of Vegas, this week, which I think is interesting for the Liberty, and I'm glad we'll talk about this before we wrap, they're going to get a bit of a break because they've been playing a lot of games, right? But they get a bit of a break this week. They don't play again till Saturday. That is in Vegas. They play the Aces for the first time that these 2 teams will meet since the WNBA Finals. So going up against the defending champions. What are you going to be keeping your eye on in that marquee matchup that's a rematch of the 2023 W Finals? What are you looking for from the Liberty to do in that game against the Aces?
Wow. Well, I think I would be keeping my eye on, and it would be really hard to take my eye off A'ja Wilson, first of all, in general. This player, she's averaging 26 points, 12 rebounds, over 2 assists a game, and just about 2 steals per game. This is crazy. A'ja Wilson is so good, and we can't forget about her. So I'm going to be looking for her and her game and just constantly being impressed by that. But for the Liberty, it's going to be, how do they practice throughout the rest of this week? They preach professionalism. On that way home from the Connecticut Sun game, they're in Normatex. They're recovering on the way home because they know they had the game today. So throughout this week, they have a break. They secure the Commissioner's Cup at home. How are they going to be showing up away in Vegas for someone that is not just the defending back-to-back champions who made the Liberty look pretty silly last time they played each other? And that's true. And so for the Liberty, I want to see, can they continue to find Jonquel? Can they continue to pass the ball and make that extra pass, not get flustered? Can Sabrina Ionescu play her game but not try and do too much? Can Kayla Thornton be a dog that the Liberty needs to be energetically on defense, getting rebounds? And Benijah Laney, I can't stress this enough. Can we give her the ball just a little bit more? Let her work ISO. Let her play one-on-one with whoever's guarding her. And defensively, Benijah Laney on A'ja Wilson, I'm assuming. I want to see how she is able to stop A'ja, or at least, I'm sorry, not stop A'ja, because that's impossible.
Right.
Slow her down a little bit. Maybe secure one more rebound, or, just slow her down a little bit. So that's what I want to see, is all the pieces clicking together. And I want to see for Coach Sandy Brondello how she makes these decisions, when to call timeouts, when to sub certain players out, when to let Fibich go in and let her try and shoot the three. Try a couple different new things and see how that works against the Aces, who are the same team they were last year. But you know how it is. Back one season to the next, every team's different. The bench for the New York Liberty is so different this season. So maybe put them in a little bit more and see how they work. I am so excited for this matchup, and I think all basketball fans are, because this is going to be a great, great basketball game.
Oh, yeah. This is the game. If you're a Liberty fan, I'm sure the Aces, too, you've been waiting for this game. The Liberty, I'm sure they've had this one circled on the calendar. So if they win this one, we saw Sabrina say that this was a statement win against Connecticut. They beat the Aces. I don't even know what you call that. Is that like a super statement win? Is that what?
Ooh, an SS win. Yeah, super SS statement win. I like that. Perfection. Dexter Henry.
See, giving me too much credit here. Okay, last thing for you, Gigi, because I know you got to run. The start to the season for the Liberty is undeniably been good. You can't deny it. 11-2, right? 7-game winning streak. Most wins in the league right now. They beat the Sun. They beat the Seattle Storm, who's starting to trend in the right direction. Simple question for me. This is the question of the episode. This is what the people came here for. This is what they want to know. Are the New York Liberty the best team in the WNBA right now? What do you say, GiGi Speer?
I love this question. I love we're ending on this. And this is the clickbait moment. The New York Liberty are the best team in the WNBA Commissioner's Cup right now. And that's where I'm going to leave it. They're doing a great job right now in this season, but by no means are they the best team in the WNBA. In the Commissioner's Cup, yes, they are. They're undefeated in the Commissioner's Cup these 2 weeks. But look at the rest of the league. When they beat the Storm were without Nneka, one of their best players. Now Nneka is back. She just got her 6,000th career point. Jewel Lloyd is on the Storm. The Minnesota Lynx are doing well. Phoenix Mercury still has Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner and only got better by adding Natasha Cloud. The league is so good, and that's why I wanted to say earlier in this segment, there are many different phases to this WNBA season. There's right now, the early part, there's the Commissioner's Cup, there's after the Commissioner's Cup, and then there's the Olympic break and after the Olympic break before playoffs. So right now, the Liberty are in a great spot, but it's so hard to say who the best team is, and I'm so sorry I can't give you a flat-out answer and say that the Liberty are the best team. They're not. I would say back-to-back champions are the best team. The Las Vegas Aces are the best team in the WNBA, but we'll see if I change and I go back on that depending how their matchup goes.
If you go back on it, we're not going to call you a flip-flopper. I think what you're doing here is you're respecting the champs. To be the best, you got to beat the best, right? We'll see how the Liberty look on Saturday against the champs. It's just a regular season, but I think your answer is fair. Right now, through Commissioner's Cup play, you can say they're the best team. They've been dominant in the Commissioner's Cup. They've answered the test. They've looked really well. 7 wins in a row, most wins in the league. But hey, you know what the thing is, Gigi? Championships are not won in terms of the W. They are not won in June. That is not when it happens. The Liberty have a ways to go, but I think it's a good start. Liberty got game right now.
Liberty got game. New York got game. Dexter Henry got game, always. We know that. Thank you for having me.
I mean, I try. You know what I'm saying? I try. I try that. However, this is the great GiGi Speer. Check out her work. talented reporter, women's basketball analyst, one of the best in the game. Glad to have her up here to talk some Liberty hoops. You're going to come back and do it again throughout the season, right?
Anytime. I love this commute, finishing the game at Barclays Center and coming right here. This is a fun commute on the Q train. So anytime you'll have me, I'm here.
Hey, I appreciate you pulling up after the game, and we'll definitely have you back. Thank you, Gigi.
Thank you, Dexter.
No problem. All right, the Liberty, they're red hot, and the NBA Finals still going on right now in terms of basketball. However, things are about to heat up in terms of off-season talk for both the Knicks and the Nets. We're going to be talking about potential moves for both teams, including the draft in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. That does it for this week's episode. Special thanks again to my guest, GiGi Speer, for my wonderful crew who makes this possible, editor Catherine Cooper, producer Brian Wachowski, and director Brianna Musindashiaka. I'm Dexter Henry. We'll see you next time on New York Got Game.
And thanks for watching New York Got Game. Boom shakalaka.